Everything in episode 7 feels planned, yet nothing makes sense on the surface. It's like the story is whispering the truth, but only to the people patient enough to look between the lines. And once you notice the signs hiding in plain sight, the entire episode starts to feel less like a chapter and more like a warning. Episode 7 creates an atmosphere where every glance, every silence, and every small action hints that one character is not who they claim to be. This theory begins with a single moment many viewers missed, the shift in behavior that appears subtle at first but grows clearer with every scene. The character seems to pause at certain names, react strangely to specific sounds, and avoid places that once felt familiar to them. These tiny cracks form a pattern, suggesting they carry a second life, a hidden face behind the one the world sees. As the episode moves forward, the clues start to connect. You notice how this character suddenly knows things they were never told on screen. They predict events before they happen. They answer questions that no one actually asked aloud. It feels like they are remembering something from a forgotten past, or perhaps a past that never belonged to them at all. Episode 7 uses these moments to pull the audience into a deeper mystery, asking us to question whether identity in this story is fixed or if someone can slip into a new role without anyone noticing. The background details strengthen the theory even more. Pictures on the wall change positions. A familiar symbol appears in a place it never existed before. Even the lighting seems to shift when this character enters a scene, as if the world itself is reacting to their presence. These choices are not random. They look like signs placed by the storytellers to highlight the truth. This character is not simply acting odd, they are revealing who they truly are. Piece by piece, another major hint lies in the way other characters treat them. Some show unease without understanding why. Others show sudden trust, as if drawn to something they cannot explain. This contrast creates tension across episode 7, pushing the idea that the hidden identity is not just a personal secret, but a force that influences the whole group. One character even pauses mid-sentence when speaking to them, almost as if they saw something in their eyes, a flash of recognition, a shadow of a different person before quickly looking away. The most powerful clue comes from a quiet moment that feels out of place. The character stands alone, almost detached from reality, whispering a line that conflicts with everything we know about them. It's a slip, a break in the mask, revealing a voice that does not match their current story. This moment is short, but it leaves a lasting echo throughout the entire episode. It suggests that the truth is not hidden because it is dangerous, but because revealing it would change the direction of the story forever. Episode 7 is not loud about this revelation. It never states anything clearly. Instead, it builds a silent case, letting the audience feel the truth before they fully understand it. The hidden identity theory becomes stronger with each replay, each detail you catch the second or third time around. The episode wants you to question everything, especially the idea that the character we have followed for so long is the same person we think we know. If this theory is true, it means episode 7 is the turning point of the entire series. It marks the moment when the mask begins to crack and the real story starts to surface. And the most chilling part, the character seems to know that we are getting closer to figuring them out. Their eyes linger a little longer. Their words become more careful. It's as if they can feel the truth slipping into the open and they are trying to keep it from exploding too soon. There is a moment in episode 7 that feels almost too quiet to matter. Yet it holds the weight of everything that comes after. It happens when the character enters a familiar room, but instead of moving with confidence, they hesitate. Their eyes shift to an object on the shelf, a small, forgotten item that should mean nothing. But the way they stare at it makes the scene feel heavy, almost fragile. This is the moment viewers begin to realize that the character might be remembering something from another life, or perhaps carrying memories that never belonged to them in the first place. It is the kind of moment the show doesn't explain, leaving us to piece the truth together ourselves. From here, the clues begin to gather like puzzle pieces finding their match. Episode 7 uses shadows and silence to speak louder than dialogue. Whenever the character walks through a hallway, the sound seems to fade slightly. as if the world becomes unsure of their presence. Sometimes their footsteps echo twice, like two different versions of them are walking side by side. Other times, objects in the background shift positions between shots small enough that casual viewers overlook them, but clear enough that attentive fans understand it is intentional. These are not editing mistakes. They are signals. The show is telling us that reality bends around this character, that their very existence is layered with something hidden. Another strong clue comes from the characters' interactions. They do not respond immediately when someone calls their name. It's as if the name belongs to a costume they are wearing, not the person inside. There is also a scene where they almost speak a name no one in this world should know. They stop themselves just in time, but the expression on their face reveals fear of slipping, fear of exposing the truth they've been trying to bury. It's in these small cracks that the theory of a hidden identity grows roots. The character is not just hiding something. They are fighting against something inside them. Episode 7 also plays with symbols, placing them gently but deliberately in the background. A repeated mark appears on walls, on notebooks, even on a window frame. At first glance, it looks random, like graffiti or decoration. But as the episode goes on, the symbol appears at key moments involving the mysterious character. It becomes clear that the symbol is tied to their past, or perhaps to the people who shaped them into who they are now. This connection hints at a larger network of secrets, suggesting the character may not be acting alone, but is part of something much older and more dangerous. Even the way other characters behave around them becomes evidence. One character, who usually acts brave and outspoken, grows quiet whenever the mysterious figure stands nearby. Another character seems to watch them with suspicion, like they are trying to remember where they have seen them before. These subtle shifts in behavior create tension that feels almost invisible but builds with every minute. It becomes impossible to ignore that everyone senses something different about them, even if no one can name it yet. But the most revealing moment comes near the end of the episode. In a dimly lit scene, the character reaches for a door they have never opened before. Their hand shakes not with fear, but with familiarity, like muscle memory guiding them. When they touch the handle, the music shifts into a low, uneasy tone. The air in the scene tightens. The character whispers something under their breath, too soft for the audience to fully hear, but clear enough to recognize that it is a language never spoken in the show before. It's a slip, a trace of a life hidden behind a false identity. That one line becomes the loudest hint the writers have given us so far. By the end of episode 7, the clues no longer feel scattered. They feel intentional, aligned, ready to form a single truth. The character is living two lives, one on the surface, shaped by the story we know, and one buried deep, shaped by a history the show has only begun to reveal. And as these clues continue to surface, it becomes clear that the hidden identity is not a twist waiting to happen. It is already happening. The mask is cracking, and episode 7 is the first time we finally see the light shining through. By the time viewers reach the middle of episode 7, something unusual begins to happen. Every clue that once seemed separate now starts pulling toward a single point. It no longer feels like we are dealing with random hints scattered for mystery's sake. Instead, the episode gives the sense that the hidden identity is not just a quiet twist, it is the engine powering the entire storyline. And the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes that this secret was never meant to stay buried. It was meant to surface exactly at this moment. One of the strongest pieces of evidence lies in how the episode handles silence. Episode 7 treats silence like a language, letting it reveal things that words cannot. When the mysterious character is alone, the silence is sharp, almost too sharp, like the world is holding its breath around them. But when they stand with others, the silence softens, becomes watchful instead of tense. It creates a pattern that suggests the character is being observed, measured, maybe even tested. This shift in atmosphere hints that the hidden identity carries weight, possibly a role, a responsibility, or a past the character was never meant to escape. Another key detail emerges in the characters' reactions to danger. Throughout episode 7, they move with a strange mix of instinct and hesitation. They dodge threats before they appear, yet freeze during moments where normal instincts should take over. It feels like they were trained for something far more complex than the life they currently lead. In one scene, their eyes track a sound no one else seems to hear. In another, they react before an attack even begins. These moments blur the line between awareness and prediction, making it hard not to suspect that their hidden identity comes from a place shaped by experience far beyond what the current timeline can explain. Episode 7 also uses parallel scenes to deepen the mystery. At one point, the character repeats an action we saw in an earlier episode almost frame by frame, but this time, it is performed with subtle differences. Their hand trembles where it used to be steady. Their gaze lingers where it once looked away. It's not a mistake. It's a mirror. The writers are showing us that the person we are watching is no longer the one we knew. Or maybe the person we knew was never the real one to begin with. These parallel moments create tension that slowly wraps around the viewer, pulling them into a sense of familiarity mixed with unease. A particularly haunting detail appears in the episode's background audio. During a quiet scene, a faint pattern of notes repeats a melody that sounds incomplete, as if a missing part is waiting to return. When the mysterious character enters the frame, the melody shifts into its full form for a brief second. This tiny change suggests that the melody is tied to the character's true identity, something from their past that the world recognizes even before the audience does. It's a storytelling technique that works on the subconscious, creating recognition without explanation. Then comes the moment that changes everything, a confrontation that appears ordinary at first. The character is questioned about a choice they made earlier in the episode. Their answer is calm, but their eyes tell a different story, one of conflict. The person questioning them steps closer, studying them with an intensity that feels almost fearful, almost reverent. In that brief silence, the character's expression shifts into something we've never seen before. Not anger, not fear, something deeper, something aware. It is the closest they come to revealing who they truly are. This moment sparks the theory that the hidden identity is not just personal, it is tied to a larger force. Within the world of Pluribus, perhaps the character once held a position of authority, or maybe they belonged to a secret order. Maybe they were part of a failed experiment, a fractured timeline, or a forbidden group. The episode gives just enough hints to support all of these ideas, yet avoids confirming any single one. This deliberate uncertainty fuels the fire of theories, making fans question everything they thought they understood. By the final scenes, the character's hidden self seems closer to emerging. Their behavior changes from cautious to conflicted, as if their true identity is pushing through the mask. The world around them reacts as well. Lights flicker, sounds distort, even the pacing of the episode shifts. Nothing feels random anymore. Episode 7 becomes a stage where illusions then and truths begin to breathe. This alignment of atmosphere, behavior, symbolism, and tension makes one thing clear. The hidden identity is not a mystery waiting for future episodes. It is the heartbeat of episode 7 itself. And every moment in the story is pulling us closer to the moment when the character's real self finally steps into the light. If the next chapter continues this pattern, the reveal may be far bigger than anyone expects. Episode 7 ends with a quiet tension that feels like the world is holding its breath. The mysterious character, who has spent the entire episode slipping between truth and disguise, begins to show signs of collapse, not physical, but emotional, mental, and almost spiritual. It's as if the two versions of themselves are fighting for space inside one body. Every moment of the episode has been pushing them toward this breaking point, and by the last scenes, the weight of their hidden identity is no longer something they can fully control. The cracks begin to show in their reactions. They pause before answering simple questions, as if their mind is sorting through to different sets of memories and choosing which reality to speak from. In one scene, they touch an object that should have no meaning to them, yet their grip tightens like it carries a piece of their soul. The camera lingers on their expression, confusion mixed with recognition. That look becomes the unspoken confession that the story has been building toward. It reveals that the identity they present is not breaking apart, it was never whole to begin with. Episode 7 uses these moments to suggest that the character is standing between two lives. One life is the one the audience knows, the story, the relationships, the choices they've made up to this point. The second life is the one buried beneath the surface, the life shaped by secrets they have spent years trying to escape or forget. The tension between these two lives becomes so strong that it affects the world around them. Lights dim when they enter a room. Characters forget conversations they had with them. Time feels inconsistent. Like the story is bending around the pressure of a truth struggling to emerge. One of the most chilling hints comes in a moment when the character seems to lose track of who they are speaking to. Their eyes scan the room as if searching for someone who isn't there. Then, for a brief second, they speak a name no one in the episode recognizes. The atmosphere shifts instantly, music drops, the room grows still, and the characters around them stare in confusion. It's not just a slip. It's the first time the hidden identity speaks out loud, even if the character themselves doesn't realize what they've done. This small moment reveals more about the true self than any dramatic reveal could not. As the episode nears its end, the character becomes noticeably uneasy. They touch their face as if expecting to find someone else looking back. They avoid mirrors, reflective surfaces, even emotional conversations. It feels like they fear that any moment of self-reflection will expose the truth. And the frightening part is that the world itself reacts to their fear. There are scenes where the background shifts, almost like the environment glitches for a fraction of a second. Walls seem closer than before. Shadows stretch longer. It's as if the world is flickering between two versions of reality, one belonging to the false identity and one belonging to the true. The turning point happens in a quiet, slow-motion moment. The character is confronted by someone who has sensed the truth all along. There is no dramatic outburst, no shouting, no physical conflict, just a question whispered with unsettling calm. Who are you really? The character freezes. Their breathing changes. Their eyes widen with a mixture of fear and relief, like a door inside them has finally opened. The silence that follows is heavy enough to shake the foundations of the story. This is not just a question, it is an invitation for the real identity to step forward. The show does not give the answer directly. Instead, episode 7 ends with the character turning away, but not to hide. Their expression is different now, sharper, colder, more aware. It is the look of someone remembering who they were before they learned to pretend. Their entire posture changes, almost as if their true identity slips into place like a shadow returning to its owner. The final shot holds on them long enough to show that this is no longer the same person we've followed until now. Something has awakened. This awakening marks the beginning of a much deeper transformation. The character is no longer struggling to keep the mask on. The mask has fallen, and the person beneath is stepping into the story with intention. Episode 7 ends not with closure, but with promise, the kind of promise that says the next chapter will not be about discovering the hidden identity, but facing the consequences of it. And if the patterns, clues, and tension of this episode are any indication, the true self behind the mask might be far more powerful, far more dangerous, and far more important than anyone in the story is prepared for. This is the moment where theories stop being theories. The unraveling has begun.